I've spent a large part of my guitar life trying to figure out the Crazy Train solo and do it justice. And by doing it justice, what I mean is I'm trying to make my soloing sound as close to the album version as possible. But I ran into three problems, two which I already knew about, one I just found out the other day, and it really kind of blew my mind. So first of all, when we're trying to play the Crazy Train solo, it's a difficult solo first of all, but because we're not Randy Rhoads, we're not going to sound exactly like it. That's just kind of one of the things that you can't help. The second thing is, I learned this after about 3 years of trying to play the solo. Randy double tracks his guitar in the studio. So he's double tracking the solo. So he plays it twice and you hear two simultaneous solos going on when you hear the solo for Crazy Train. So it's not like he just played through the solo, said that's good, see you later. He played it again and they layered them together. So if you listen with earbuds, you'll hear one take in one ear and the other in the other ear. And it's really interesting because playing them together creates the sound that you're not able to replicate by yourself. When I learned this, I went out and bought a chorus pedal because I thought that would make that sound, but it didn't. There's a different sound and feel to it when you use a chorus pedal versus when you actually double track your part. So when you play it twice and then put them together. So that's another giant reason why we can't sound like the studio version of Crazy Train. Now the third one, like I said, I just figured it out the other day. I was listening to it, dissecting it even more, and there were always a few parts that sounded strange to me, and I couldn't quite tell why until I slowed it down the other day and listened to each take, and I realized that Randy is actually playing different notes for different takes. Now, some people get mad and they're like, Randy would never make a mistake, and I know that's blasphemy, and I wouldn't say that. But what I will say is Randy was a very creative guitar player. It's got to be very difficult to want to play the same thing 2 times in a row when you're in the studio. And so there are these little anomalies that happen where all of a sudden he'll be playing 2 different notes, and since it's one in each ear, it creates this really insane dissonant effect. So if I break this part down, you might be surprised to hear what he's actually doing. So in one take, he's going like this. So this 3-note walk down is very important to remember. Note-wise, we have D, C sharp, and B. On the other take, he goes like this. Could you hear the differences? So that walk down, especially, you can hear it. This sounds really weird to me. Sounds wrong, you know what I mean? Now here's where the dissonance happens. Because the first take he goes D to C sharp to B, but then when you add the other notes on top of it on the other take, you're playing E to D to B. Those notes are very dissonant. So I'll show you. I'll play the D and the E at the same time. Sounds like Helter Skelter kind of, but up higher. Very dissonant. The next 2 notes, we have D and C sharp at the same time. So that would sound like this. That's as dissonant as it can get right there. Now, how could that ever sound good in a solo, right? That's kind of what I was wondering, but obviously Randy makes it work. Now the next part's not so apparent, but it's this crazy walk down. So that's what he does in the first take. The next take, he goes. So it's not as dissonant because the 2 notes played together sound pretty good together. So I'm way more focused on the sound of the walk down today. Let's go ahead and do this. The first time I play through, I'm going to play to the backing track, so it's going to be the backing band, and we're going to have just a single solo, okay? Just one solo guitar. The second time through, I'll do the same exact solo, but I'll double it, so it'll be 2 versions of the same thing. And on the third one, we're going to do what Randy did. And it's going to be the 2 guitars again, except one of them is going to be playing those other notes. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's do that exact same lead part again, except double tracked this time. So I'm going to record this in post-production, so you'll only see me playing this once here, but there'll be another version of it right next to it. Here we go. See how it gives it a different sound? It's very interesting whenever you double track guitars what that does to the tone. It makes it a lot bigger and more interesting. Okay, we still don't have what Randy did though. So by playing different notes, you're going to hear it a lot truer and a lot closer to the real thing. So I'm excited to hear it. Here we go. Okay, that's what I'm used to hearing. Now, isn't that strange that such dissonance can actually sound good in the context of the solo? And even if Randy didn't intend to do that, like I said, being a very creative guitar player, it's easy to just kind of do little different things each time. And when you put it together, you just hope for the best. And in this case, it creates a very interesting sound. So you've got guitar players that can match note for note every single note that they do in a solo. Then you have guys like Tony Iommi who actually go off and play two separate parts completely. That sounds really great. And then you have Randy who's kind of doing a little bit of both. He's following the old part pretty well, but then here and there he does these little anomalies that throw it off just a little bit. And I think it actually contributes to the sound you think of when you think of Randy Rhoads playing. So very exciting to discover this yesterday. I got all excited to make this video, and hopefully it changes the way you hear Randy when you listen to the album. So listen to the album, slow it down. On YouTube it's easy to slow things down. Listen to the isolated tracks, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. All those little changes and nuances make for a big change overall. All right, I hope that was fun, informative, interesting, all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys at the next lesson. All right, thanks, bye.